Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Pels didn't get the win tonight. Unfortunately, as you guys know, I'm rooting for them to extend the series. Um, so that's just my point of view as a fan of the sport. But objectively speaking, it was really good. That game was good. It was good to watch um, the two teams kind of be somewhat off balance for the majority of the game. It seemed to me. Um, Physicality was taking over early on. You got guys getting into it with one another, um, ejections and stuff like that, missed shots early on. Bi struggled in the first half. We talked all about the first half. You guys can kind of check out that video and get a better refresher on that. But as far as the second half, what we just got through seeing, you know, the Pelicans really came back into this game, fought hard, which I thought they would do, even though they were down big at the halftime. I still thought they had a good momentum in terms of just the overall pace that they were playing with and the energy that they were playing with. And I know the Phoenix Suns are trying to immediately adjust from Devin Booker now being out of the lineup. So I knew that you could see some struggle on the Phoenix side of things as they adjust, and you could see some struggle on the Pelican side of things as they deal with the defense that was being thrown at them. I thought there were some very interesting things that stood out in the box score about this game, particularly on the Phoenix side of things. They shot 15% from three, 15%, but then had 64 points in the paint. So it's like, okay, well, the three was horrible, but Aiton was killing on the inside. And Chris Paul was able to also get a lot of inside points as well, mid-range, doing all that good stuff. And McGee gave them some solid points on the inside as well. So they were able to eat big despite just clanking just about everything they shot from three. So I thought that was really interesting. And then they only turned the ball over 5 times, which I thought was really, really good for them. So if you're going to have a night where you can't throw the ball in from Trey, you definitely want to be taking care of the basketball. So Phoenix just shows us that even when the situation doesn't work in their favor, even when they are down a man, even when they're up against it with Bi going for 28 and 14 assists, they still find ways of winning the basketball games, and it's because they can do things to help themselves even when they're hemorrhaging in other areas. Um, that's what you learn, how good of a team they are, to where they can be struggling so much and still win. So I thought that was really, really telling. Chris Paul was absolutely phenomenal, particularly down the stretch of the game. Getting scores for his team to basically give himself the lead to win the game. Um, they played well down the stretch on the offensive side. Now defensively, the Pelicans have a lot to be encouraged by, because Bi continued his onslaught. And like we said, in the first half, the things that the Suns were doing to try to slow him down were working. But whatever they did in terms of adjustments at halftime, Willie Green, got to tip your hat. Bi came out looking great in the second half, just picking up where he left off in game 2. And that's exactly who we saw Bi become down the stretch of that game. And let me tell you something. This is one of those situations where you look at the Pelicans and say, hit your free throws. Don't get technicals. Little things are the difference. Because what you had down there tonight was a situation where the Suns could not stop the Pelicans down the stretch of that game. They couldn't stop at all. Everything the Pelicans wanted in the final, say, 2 minutes of the game, 3 minutes of the game, they got. Bi scored everything he wanted. McCollum was able to hit a three. They got every shot they wanted. Phoenix could not stop them. And so I say to myself, if you don't get that technical here or there, if Hayes isn't fouled out of that game, if you don't have a few missed free throws, you won that game. Because truth be told, Phoenix couldn't stop you. What helped Phoenix was the fact that the clock was on their side and that they had gotten just enough of a cushion at the right time so that when the clock expired, they happened to have the lead. But if they would have had another quarter to go and Bi continued to stay in the rhythm he was on, not only would they have lost, but that score would have maybe gotten out of hand, in my humble opinion. They just didn't get any stops down the stretch. And I think Phoenix going to have to explain that aspect of the game to me. Even though they won, you know what I'm saying? No one's going to question this at all. Probably. No one's probably even going to mention it. But I'm telling you, for them to be as great of a defensive team as they are, they had nothing for BI down the stretch of that game. Nothing. And I'm telling you, this is the second game in a row that's been the case. So I don't feel as good about Phoenix as a whole, judging by how much they're struggling defensively in certain key moments. It's inexplicable, to be honest with you. You know, and Chris Paul played amazing, and he had to for them to win. I like what I saw out of Jay Crowder. He was extremely spirited out there. He didn't let that situation get him down with Jackson Hayes. He kept playing hard. You got to give him his credit. Jose Alvarado hit some phenomenal shots, big threes. I thought he was playing real jittery in the first half, out of rhythm, kind of too hasty, a little too excited about playing his first playoff game at home. He settled down the second half as well and hit some huge threes. Like I said, played great defense as always. Definitely made an impact. Larry Nance Jr., man, I want to give him a standing ovation for the way he's playing in these playoffs. This dude looks great for the Pelicans. Everything they need him to do, he's doing it, and he's doing it in a good way. Rebounding the ball, blocking shots, contesting shots. He's getting stops that he doesn't look like he should be able to get. You know what I mean? Blocking Aiton's shot and stuff like that. Let me tell you, Larry Nance, you get an A+ for your effort tonight, man. I know people ain't gonna remember too much because you're on the losing side, but you raise your value as far as I'm concerned, man. Playing this big in the playoffs yet again. I haven't forgotten that you were part of that Cleveland team that made it to the finals. Your resume's piling up as someone who could perform in the playoffs, and I think that bodes very well for your future, sir. Very well. You know who else is impressing me in this series, even though he's not doing massively, colorful things? There's a guy by the name of Najee Marshall on the Pelicans as well. Just little things, man. Finding himself in the right place at the right time, making the right pass, just doing little stuff like that ultimately puts his team in a position to get the most out of the bench minutes that he gives them. He's keeping them steady, So for me, looking at this game, I have a lot of good things to say about the team that didn't win it. Judging by just what I saw, I was more so impressed with how they handled just ultimately what they were faced with. Of course, you want to give credit to the Suns, obviously, for handling what they're faced with even better, getting the victory, and just more or less making sure that they took care of the basketball. That's what you really want to give the Suns credit for, besides the point guard just being Chris Paul and, blessing us with his gift of the game of basketball. And, just good things that you see out of Cam Johnson stretching the floor. Again, want to give credit to JaVale McGee for helping out off the bench very well, giving them big points there. You just ultimately like the fact that you're getting a playoff matchup, that you can really, really appreciate. Some of these matchups, I don't want to call them out, but they're not living up to what they should be, just based on, plethora of things, injuries being some of the problem as well. But this series has not let us down. In fact, it's been better than it was supposed to be, really. And it's only getting better. I think the series continues. I wouldn't be surprised if the Pelicans win the next game. Judging by what I saw, they found some things that could work, and the Phoenix does not adjust. They're going to continue to have problems. Simple as that. Now, something that I did notice tonight, I wish I had a Jumbotron to show you the specific play, but I'm just going to do my best to try to explain what I'm thinking. There was a situation, and the Pelicans announcer, Daniels, I think his name is Troy Daniels, he used to play for the Spurs. He called this out right on time, and it was a situation where B.I. was surging. The crowd was behind him. B.I. hit a couple shots in a row, and it was a situation where, everybody in the arena could just feel that it was, BI's time. The momentum was just leaning toward him. And CJ got the ball and looked for his own shot and bricked a little jumper in the corner. And it was just a situation where, Troy Daniels had said, hey, get the ball back to BI. And even in my own head, I was like, nah, that's cool. CJ got it now. CJ has to get himself in a rhythm. That was my initial thought, and that was the right thought, because that's what CJ is about. But I think that's the problem. There's nothing wrong with what CJ did. CJ has to get himself going. He's not a pass-first point guard. He's a scoring guard who happens to play the point at times. So it's his functionality to make sure that he gets his rhythm regardless if somebody else has got it going or not. So I don't want to get on him for saying, yo, you need to have a feel for when your teammate is going, because it's just not his game. But in that situation, going forward, I think the best way to seize the opportunity to win is to be able to have feel for those situations. When your teammate is got it going, especially a young pup who's trying to show who he is, trying to, define who he is, and he has mechanics like that. If he's surging, the arena's feeling it, the whole building's waiting for him to get the ball, get him the ball. Get him the ball. Because the best thing you can do for yourself in terms of getting in rhythm is having as much defense go toward him as humanly possible. Because the more shots he hits, the hotter he gets, the more people are paying attention to him and not you. So that's how you have to look at it if you're a shoot first point guard and somebody else is starting to get their stuff going and you can't get yourself going. You got to just sacrifice that, especially in a playoff situation. And like I said, I know CJ McCollum is worthy. That's why I didn't even think, I didn't even go there with it. But I agree with Troy Daniels. That ball has to go to BI because he's going to hit that next shot. And if he hits the next shot, he could be going for 50 that night. And you want that. You know what I mean? Even if it's to the detriment of your own rhythm, you want that because he is going to lead you to victory later on down the road. You know what I mean? CJ's a fantastic player, but you're not the A1 on that team, and it's for the best because they do have BI. He's a bigger, longer player, and I think that's just how this goes. So I respect CJ. I know he's a smart player. I think if he had a Lonzo Ball or a Chris Paul on his side, nobody would even be looking for him to do that. It would be that person's responsibility to get BI the ball in that situation. I think because I think like a point guard, I kind of have a feel for those things naturally, just how my brain kind of looks at the game. But all in all, you want the Pelicans to get them a facilitator so that CJ can stay in rhythm, BI can be in rhythm, and CJ doesn't have to be looked at as somebody who did something wrong for not doing what he ultimately is not really functioned to do. But going forward, if the Pelicans want to win, he needs to get better at that right now. He has to become more unselfish in that way, and I know he can. I know CJ can do that. So Kobe did it. You know what I mean? Kobe had to learn how to be a facilitator. James Harden has had to step into facilitating roles in and out of his career, and it's helped his teams when he does. I think CJ's going to have to get better at that until the Pelicans find a way to get a facilitator on this team. Same thing with Devontae Graham. Both of them. They just have to think pass more. Not pass first, but look for BI. And Zion when he gets back, of course. So that is really what I wanted to point out there. But the Pelicans, I think, just showed me that they can score on the Phoenix Suns whenever they want to. Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, or no Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, they can score on this team. And as long as BI is able to get to his spots, it's 2 or 3 points. That's where we're headed with this kid. You gotta bump him off of those spots. He catching in the corner, little elbows and stuff like that. He needs to be bumped off of those spots. So that's something that I've noticed. I'm super happy to see BI rolling like this, though. As a Laker fan, this makes me very happy to see him going off in the playoffs. Our scouts were right when they drafted him. It wasn't too hard of a decision because he made it easy coming out of Duke, and he's a superstar, man. Y'all just got to get used to it. I know the NBA has a lot of different guys that they have as the face of the league that they want to see, take over and all that. The bigs right now are doing it, but I'm telling you, BI is going to fall in place as one of them dudes over the next 5 years. Wouldn't be surprised if he takes an MVP home, a championship, or something like that. It's going to happen because he is that lethal. I don't think he needs to defer to anyone, which is why I didn't want to trade him at all. I don't look at him as somebody who necessarily has to be a second option. Judging by the way he's closing these games and looking at that length, he can be the best player on a great team. You know, you just put the right pieces around him, give him enough bigs, give him enough shooters, give him enough pass first guys, and all that other stuff. And BI can be, in my opinion, the best player on a great team. I think that. I really do. So we'll see what happens, man. Maybe he can be the guy for the Pelicans. Obviously, Zion is 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I personally think the Pelicans should just move on from that. Don't even trip off that. Look at BI and make sure he gets what he needs. You can get a championship off of him. And I ain't kidding. I am not kidding. It's going to take some time and it's going to take some good development. But, yeah, that dude is serious, man. He ain't nothing to play with. And unlike some of those other guys who are smaller guys that we really, really love out there, they ain't going to be able to affect the defensive end like he is naturally. They're not. He's more so like Brandon Ingram. He's more so like Anthony Davis and Giannis and Kevin Durant and guys with long arms, that kind of thing. Middleton. He's more like those guys than he is, say, Bradley Beal or Dame Lillard, Trae Young, those guys, Kyrie Irving, who we love and respect so much. But because they don't have them long arms and that ability to cover as much space as these guys can, they can't be the leading guy. You know, even Chris Paul, love him to death, but he needs these Aitons. He needs these extra guys. I don't think B.I. needs that. I think he's more like Giannis. He don't need that. So, yeah, it's going to be hard, man. It's going to be hardcore. I look at people like Luka Doncic, super talented. They're not going to affect the floor defensively like a B.I. Just not. You know, guy like Jason Tatum, that's another one, obviously. So, you know, the league is looking great with these forwards, these long guys, man, and I think B.I. could find himself near the top of all of them. He might be the best of them all, honestly. He may just be when it's all said and done, because you got to understand how young he is right now. You know, what you're seeing right here is usually production and development that you'll see out of a guy who's 28. You almost forget, he's 24, a fresh 24 at that. So just think about where he's going to be 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now. Health permitting, I do believe he'll be one of the best players in the game. So just that's I think he's putting on display right now. So, yeah, man. Yeah, that's what it is. As far as Phoenix is concerned, you know, missing Devin Booker in this series is going to prove to be something that I think they can sustain, but they had better tweak it a little more because this Pelican team is not going to roll over, and they really do believe that what they're doing works. They have their limitations, but, you know, like I said about that other series in Memphis and Timberwolves, just because the team is limited does not mean that they can't punch you in the mouth in such a way that you won't get up from. So the Suns are in trouble to a degree. They won the game, and they're lucky to have won this game, honestly. But, you know, more than anything, they just need to continue tweaking things and continue working on what it is that they got going on against BI, because it didn't work. Let's just call it what it is. It didn't work. So that's what I gotta say, man. That is it. I'm gonna dig into these other matchups and talk about them as well. And I thank you guys for watching. My name is BDL44, and I'm out.